Welcome along to a special edition of Tom Talks with Tom Marquand in person. We're going to be previewing Royal Ascot 2026, of course, a Whirlpool event. So make sure you head to the Tote website to check out all our Whirlpool offers, including money back second across all the races there at Royal Ascot. Tom, before we get into Royal Ascot, we've got to talk about the Derby first. Maltese Cross second in the Derby. You only get one go at the Derby, second. How do you feel after that?
Yeah, look, obviously thrilled with how he ran. Disappointed that it was sort of an uncontrollable factor that probably didn't help him out in so much rain coming down. But listen, that's how it is. You get soft ground derbies, you get fast ground derbies, and it's completely potluck as to what horse you have on what year and what you get given. So look, he ran his heart out. Obviously beaten by a horse by Camelot that was bred to love the ground. George Ward, his owner, is thrilled. Obviously, everyone at Somerville Lodge thrilled as well. And listen, the biggest thing is we're excited about what he's got now. You can win a trial and still not actually be up to scratch for the big Group 1s. He's proven he is. So, very much looking forward to what he's going to do now in the future.
Brilliant. It's definitely one to look forward to for the rest of the season and beyond. And how would you assess how your season's gone so far? And what's your Ascot team looking like? Are you optimistic of adding another one to your list of winners?
Yeah, hopefully adding a few. Been a good start to the year. Some horses have just poked their heads up as sort of real interesting prospects, and I'm sure a few of them will get mentioned in a minute. Been a good start to the year, and hopefully Ascot can be productive and busy and interesting with the weather. It looks like it's going to be hot, so probably ground's going to dry up a good bit for then. The Ascot team do a great job of producing nice ground, so look, if they get consistency in weather, it makes it a lot easier to sort of plot paths and know what horses are going to go where and stuff like that. So look, everything looks on track. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting morning, going down to Williams to gallop a few. I'm sure that'll sort of head a few off in different angles and firm up a few plans, so yeah, exciting.
Brilliant. Somebody else who's going to be busy during Ascot week is you, James. Dark horses every day on the column, and you've got a few fancies for us. Are you looking forward to Ascot this year?
Yeah, can't wait. It's always a great meet, isn't it? And there's always plenty of value flying around, so make sure to head over to the blog, and there'll be videos on YouTube as well, and the selections will be out there.
Brilliant. We're going to go run through a few of the races at Ascot, and it starts with a brilliant Tuesday, as we all know, with the Queen Anne. A rematch, hopefully with notable speech, and a horse you know plenty about, More Thunder. Can he turn the tables if they both turn up? Yeah,
look, interesting one, obviously. Off the back of Newbury, looking forward to it. Obviously it was More Thunder's first run of the year, going up against a horse as good as Notable Speech. It was always going to be tough anyway. And look, draw just meant we were probably a row further back than I'd love to have been. He finished really well. Probably wasn't closing the gap on Notable Speech the last half furlong, but with a run under his belt, the first run back at the mile in a long time. Obviously he had previously run over a mile and a quarter, but that was when he was a lot lower grade, so a different kettle of fish. But I think Ascot as a track, obviously he's going to suit him down to the ground, gives him time to change his leads, get rolling. Look, Notable Speech is a champion of the division, obviously, but I've got my confidence high, thinking we might be able to roll him.
Brilliant. And Notable Speech was fourth in the race last year, and fifth was Lake Forest for the Hags team. He's been gelded and won the Spring Trophy really nicely. He's now 119. Do you think he could sort of hit the frame if he was to run as well? Yeah,
it'd be interesting which way they decide to go with him, whether they want to come back to the 6 or go the mile. I'm not sure what the plan is. He's a versatile horse. Like I say, gelding him, not that he was doing a ton wrong before, but he was just a bit of a tricky horse to sort of gauge sometimes. Obviously highly talented, and shown some Group 1 levels of form at points. Hopefully now he's gelded, he can just find consistency, and look, he's just stayed the mile before. Whether Ascot might stretch him out, and that might be the decision to swing him back to the 6. Like I say, it'd be interesting what the team decide to do. But I think gelding him could have been the making of him as a racehorse for the next few years, and finding that level of consistency. But he's a drop-in horse. He conserves energy, and he's a very different model to More Thunder physically, but they kind of do a similar thing. Look, it'll be an interesting race if they both go. Obviously, I kind of hope they go separate ways and Lake Forest goes 6, but that's up to the team to decide.
I don't know about you, James, but I'm detecting quite high levels of confidence there from Tom. Is there anything outside of the top of the market that can win this, and who do you fancy?
Well, actually, it's been a race for dark horses down here. It's the last three run-ins of the race have been wide, 33 to 1 shot, a 14 to 1 shot. There is value to be found for punters in the Queen Anne. And I actually like the chance of Demises. He was very good at Newmarket. He looked really impressive winning the Earl of Sefton. He does have a bit to find on the Lockinge form with a few of these. But Waffenham love a winner at Royal Ascot, and he's a nice price, and I think he could run well at a decent each way. Bit of value there.
Definitely, and the Waffenham team will obviously have plenty of bullets to fire at Ascot next week. And I do think they have one in the King Charles III stakes, which was formerly known as the King's Stand. A lot of international interest in this race with a lot of foreign sprinters. Of course, you have Overpass, Jolly Star, and Night Raider. We'll come to you first, James. You've been to Carl Burke's recently, and he said Night Raider might run twice in the Ascot week.
Yeah, he said his potential is both. The Carl Burke stable tour is out there for anybody who wants to watch a Royal Ascot. It's very, very good. He's got a massive team going to Royal Ascot, plenty of chances, and he's been really good. Night Raider. He won both races, won the Palace House, won the Temple at Haydock, and he said there's potential in running both, but he'd have a big chance if he turned up in this, definitely.
Brilliant. What do you make of the sprinting team, Tom? And the likes of Big Mojo, a bit about, who's entered in there as well, and Albert Einstein for Cornwall. Where would you be leaning? And do you think these foreign sprinters can come and take our prize money?
Yeah, honestly, this year it could well potentially be that the foreign sprinters are strong. Obviously, the two Australian raiders coming down are decent horses, and it's Bjorn Baker's first crack at an English Group 1. But Overpass, he's strong, he's pretty good, pretty versatile, sort of, gets up on speed but doesn't have to be the speed of the race. So, be interesting how they go with him. And Jolly Star's obviously proper Group 1 sprinter, and as Aussies have shown, their Group 1 sprinters are pretty strong. Look, I'm looking forward. I'm again sort of plans up in the air a little bit, but hoping Big Mojo might be going over 5. Stiff 5 after his run at York looks like it should just sort of be the ticket for him. Obviously he's a Haydock Sprint Cup winner, which is a real sharp 6, and to me that's sort of the reason to come back to the 5 at Ascot. It's a strong race. Sounds like quite a few people are thinking of backing up Tuesday to Saturday. Obviously you'd rather meet some of them on the fast backup, just in case they don't handle it. But look, I think it's quite an open race this year, to be perfectly honest, with that international sort of twist in it. Makes it a good race.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I think there's a press day later this week with all the international contenders, so we see how confident they think in their chances. Somebody who'll be confident in their chances is George Bowie with his 2,000 guineas winner, Beau Echo. Tom, is he the real deal, and will he win the St James's Palace Stakes?
What he did at Newmarket was it was exceptional, especially with Gustard coming out and doing what he did a couple of weeks later in Ireland. It's whether he can back it up. Like, obviously they did they did an amazing job, the team, of dialing him in for a day. Obviously decided not to go to Ireland with a chance to freshen him back up and go into Ascot, sort of almost trying to sort of reload him again. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do for good reason. It's still not stacks and stacks of time in between the two runs. It's enough time to sort of let down and then get back going again. But it can be a hard job. I think he'll be very hard to beat. But Gustard won't be far off him. Like, I think he looked a sort of hardened horse when he was in Ireland, and Ascot, being the track that it is, around the corner, complicates things for Billy the way he's going to want to ride him, I'm sure. Certainly less straightforward than Newmarket was. The Ballydoyle factor has to come into play, and it'll make it a super interesting race. I don't think it's as straightforward as people think it is. Just you don't just have to be the best horse, you have to be the most versatile, and be able to sort of be open to adapt your running style and change plans along the way, which sometimes can be tough.
And just, you touched on Ballydoyle there as well. Is there any chance you could be throwing your hat into have a few rides for them this week? How does that work? And I suppose you've rode them a couple of winners in the past. It doesn't help.
Yeah. Look, you always hope you're on the list somewhere. Where I am on the list, I don't know. Obviously, he's got a lot of guys riding for him at home a lot and putting in a lot of work. Like we saw, obviously Ronnie winning the Derby for him. There's guys putting in sort of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week there. So it's hard to compete with that. You hope your results sort of like I say, put you on the list somewhere, and after that, if you get the call up, fantastic, and obviously try and do the best job you can. I'm sure Christoph will be super keen to try and ride as many of them as he can. Ryan gets first preference, Wayne's in there as well, Ronnie, it's a big team. Hopefully pick up something, and hopefully something of note, but if you don't, it's one of those.
Full of hope, James. We'll be full of hope to get Boeco beaten. It's going to be a short price.
Yeah, I do think obviously him and Gustad are at the top two in the market at the minute, and look the two to beat. But I do think Talk of New York would have to have a good chance. He was very good in the Heron Stakes, really impressive actually. His dam was a winner at Royal Ascot. He'd have to have a decent chance, I think. Now I think he could potentially take him on. I think he should handle the track, and I think he's got a decent chance.
I think we might know the lay of the land quite early with Godolphin, with their runners having a few big chances there on the first day. Last pit stop on the first day is the Copper Horse, which I think class leader who won at York. It's an ideal race for him. I'm not sure he'll go there, but just give us a line on him. How is he after York, and what do you think his future holds?
Yeah, I was impressed with York. Like what he did that day, he shouldn't really have been able to do it quite so well, because we went slow, muddly race. I got caught on the back of one early from a nice draw that then just dragged me a bit further back than I wanted to be, and he proved the best horse in the race to go and overcome that. Similarly, I don't know whether the plan is sort of firm or not as to whether he's going to go, but he's an improving horse. Hopefully, still remains well handicapped, and I'd be looking forward to him if he does go, because he's so straightforward, stays really well. Track will suit him just in the fact that you get a nice chance to gallop home. And Yvonne Jacks is obviously a big supporter of the yard. She had a decent winner yesterday, and it'd be nice if he did go.
Brilliant. He's definitely one to look out for when the entries come out for them races. We'll move on to Wednesday now with the big race on Wednesday being the Prince of Wales Stakes. We've got Derazzi, obviously the Arc winner last year, and Ombudsman, who won in Maidan and made a winning return in the UK, winning the Brigadier Gerard. Is this a two-horse race, Tom, or is there something else, a bigger price lurking that you think could be dangerous?
Honestly, from watching Daraz at the moment, I just struggle to see him getting beat. He's the speed he showed sort of when he won at Longchamp was pretty incredible. Ombudsman, I know he won the other week at Sandown, but Owen's horse that gave him a real tough race. Gethin, obviously, he's a fair level, but that was to the eye a good way off what Daraz did a couple of weeks previous to that. So I personally think Daraz will be a real tough beat. Ground's going to be nice for him. Just strong horse, and obviously Graffard's absolutely flying as well, which helps.
Absolutely, and he's 2 for 2 this season already. James,
yep.
Take us through this race, because there's a lot of good horses in here, and a lot of people will know the names as well. Yeah,
well, I'd be taking Tom actually for Ombudsman. I think he won the race last year, did win it well. It was good. I thought he was all right in the Brigadier Gerard. I just thought he just did a little bit shade causally, really. I don't know where it was, and obviously you know a bit more than that, but I was impressed with the way he won, and I thought he was doing. I mean, it will be a good race, but I would side with Ombudsman. And if they turn up on the day and it's 7-4, 2-1 each way, would that be a factor in your betting? Yeah, well, on top, obviously, money back second and stuff like that is also a decent play in this sort of race. So in a race like that, you could be take your pick which one you fancy, and then if you finish second, you get your money back. So it's a decent value offer there. Another race I wanted to look at that William Haggas has got a couple of entries for was the Royal Hunt Cup. He's got Eternal Force, who just got turned over at Hamilton the other day, and High Degree as well, who was gelded in the winter, and he was second in a good handicap at Newbury. Would you be interested in riding either of them two in the Royal Hunt Cup? Yeah, I think the pair of them, they're interesting horses. Probably both had question marks over their attitude at different points. Like the other day, it just felt like Eternal Force, maybe some headgear might just really help sort of eke out the best from him. He sort of always had this thing of going left a touch under pressure, and obviously at Hamilton the other day, the leader was on the fence, and with nothing coming and challenging on the outside, just made it hard to get him level. So look, whether they decide to back him up quick, I don't know, but if he did, I wouldn't be surprised if some headgear went on, and I think you'd see a much improved horse for it. High Degree again, like you say, he's come into this season off on a real good run. Didn't win, but ran big, and again, sort of there was probably a couple of runs where we questioned whether his heart was fully with us. But I think he's a horse that's turned a bit and done well for the winter. That reappearance run was strong, so either or, obviously he'll give Sheikh Juma something to shout about, both being his.
Brilliant. It's a wide open race. Obviously, plenty of runners on the straight course there. And I think favourites have done all right in that years gone by. I think Mike Laird might have won it for Roger Varian.
Yeah.
Where are you siding for the Royal Hunt Cup?
I like the chance of Holloway Boy. Carl Burke, when I spoke to him the other day, was keen on his chances, and he's got a really good record at Ascot. He won the Chesham first time up. He was 4th in the Jersey. He was 5th in this race in 2024. And last season he bumped into Crown of Hawks and was only just beaten. It was just the smart performance in the Balmoral. He's running the Paradise Stakes as well. Sets him up nicely for this, and I think Holloway Boy's got a big chance in the Royal Hunt Cup.
It should be a lovely price as well, you'd hope. We'll move on to Thursday now because there's a lot of races we don't want to speculate on Wednesday, but the Ascot Gold Cup, obviously one of the big races of the week. Tom, top of the market, Scandinavia, your hero from the St Ledger. He's going to face perhaps maybe some of the same opposition he ran against last year with Roger Varian's horse in there, Rahib. When you went on him last year, do you think he could go on to be a proper cup horse like he has now?
Yeah, it felt to me like he'd stay really well. He's obviously he's got miles into his legs early this season, which is what Aidan likes to do when he's on that Gold Cup trail. He's been doing everything right, albeit shake-cosily, but that's probably what you want to see from a Gold Cup style type horse. He, like I say, he conserves energy. Ground won't be an issue for him at Ascot, and I think for the way he races economically, trip shouldn't be a problem going up to that extended distance. What sort of was quite interested that Trawlerman was the price he was, for a horse that's been exceptional in the division. I know he's getting older, but he's a very strong horse, but Rogers lad did a good job at York, and obviously was the closest to Scandinavia in the Ledger at the back end of last year, still looking like a raw, sort of more raw, immature version of a few of the others in the race. So, interesting race, I thought, and I'd obviously love to see Scandinavia win, but yeah, don't think it's as straightforward as the market may suggest.
Yeah, I'd echo your thoughts there. I always think that John and Thady Gosden's horses at Ascot are to be feared as well if you're backing something else. James, do you think that form line with Scandinavia could produce the winner of the...
Yeah, I do, yeah, actually. I think from obviously the first two home in the Ledger there, was only beaten the neck when I fancy Rahib to potentially turn it around. He was very good at York. I thought it was really impressive. And I think the step up in trip here, I don't think he'll bother him at all. I think he's got to have a big chance.
One I just thought was interesting as well was Karma's obviously won the Queen's Vase last year. And he was 5th in the St Ledger. He's going to be a big price if he takes his chance, and it could be one to play in the Whirlpool with sort of lesser known connections. That leaves it for Thursday. We'll move on to Friday, the Commonwealth Cup, one of the great races of the week. James, we'll start with you here because you've been to see Carl Burke, and Venetian Sun is all the rage. Does she win?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I'd be my nap at the festival, actually. She was so impressive at Haydock. Absolutely unbelievable. She just looked like she jumped in it at the furlong pole. She won it, obviously, Royal Ascot last year, won the Albany. Yeah, so I can't see her getting beaten at all.
Well, Tom, you've got the job of trying to do that with hopefully the Sabre Strike, who's won for you at Newmarket Ready this year.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. He's a horse with two options. Obviously, he's got Jersey and obviously the 6 furlong option here. Not sure again what sort of team are thinking and everything like that, but what he did at Newmarket really, really impressed me. Like I sort of gave him a bit of a job to do because he was drawn on the wing, came back across and in to make sure he learnt a bit on the job, and thought he was exceptional through the last furlong. Really found a gear that most don't go and manage to do on that kind of track. Sadly though, I think Venetian Sun is a tough one to crack. She was, like James said, she was exceptional at Haydock. I mean, Cliff being able to go and take a sit into the furlong pole, very, very rarely happens. And obviously we've sort of got a decent form line to go off with Division, and we know him well from home, obviously. So look, whichever way they go with Sabre Strike, really looking forward to riding him. But you'd definitely be keeping an eye on where Venetian Sun is in the run, and we'll be probably sort of, we'll have to be at our best to beat her, obviously. Yeah.
And where would your lads sort of rank between the sprinters and the 3-year-old horses that you've sat on this season so far?
Honestly, I loved him. Like I say, what he did really impressed me at Newmarket. I know visually he's sort of only one length and a quarter or something. Might not have looked as flash as some people would really like, but the job he had to do that day was tough, and I definitely wouldn't sort of overlook the ground that he made up to go and close up onto what was a decent Godolphin horse in second. It's a tricky thing to do on a track like that, and he's a horse that's still learning. So yeah, very, very much excited about what he's going to do in the future. Hopefully that starts at Ascot.
Brilliant. It's definitely one for the tracker then there. We'll move on again on Friday onto the Coronation Stakes. Now, Cornwall have got a pretty strong hold on this with the likes of Precise, True Love and Diamond Necklace in. And Thunder On's in the market as well at the moment, but I guess you wouldn't go after her Oak success last week. Tom, how would you assess the contenders here? And Precise is probably going to be the favoured one. If you were Ryan, would you be throwing the leg over that one?
Honestly, Ryan's got a horrid sort of time on at the moment with these two fillies. Obviously, it played one way in Newmarket and then played the other way at the Curragh, and he was sort of caught on the wrong side of each, which, you know, it's obviously a blessing to be Cornwall and Ballydor's stable jockey, but you get put in those awkward situations like that where, you know, that's the way it goes. My mind would instantly go to Port Fortuna, just because my only point of reference for the race would be Port Fortuna beating the Ballydor filly a couple of years ago. She was a filly with more speed, and if I was Ryan, that's the way I'd be going. I'd be going more speed rather than the filly that looked like she'll stay further. So look, True Love is the faster filly, rightly or wrongly. That would probably be my angle in the track. You can take that sit and just go and dash down into the last furlong if you've got a bit of speed. It'll be interesting which way it goes.
Brilliant. Good assessment there from Tom. James, what do you fancy?
Well, I think the Ballydoyle horses are obviously the ones to beat, but they'll be well found on the mark. So one who might offer a bit of value on the Whirlpool, I thought, was Soar Regal for the Gosdens and Jubilee Park. And he won this with Inspire on in 2022. Her dam went close at Royal Ascot as well, and she bumped into LILT last time, who was impressive that day. But she was fancied that day with Soar Regal, obviously beaten by a nice horse, but I thought she might offer a bit of value.
Brilliant. And I just wanted to touch on, you've been to see Richard Hughes a couple of weeks ago. The American Queen's in there at a big price and was second in the Nell Gwyn. What did he say to you about her?
Yeah, I think a lovely horse. She's a really nice filly. Bit of issues in Ireland, wasn't there, most recently with that. But yeah, she's a nice filly and she comes here fresh. So if she takes a chance, again, she'd be another one who could be a bit of value in the Whirlpool there.
Brilliant. The Group 1 action keeps coming as we move on to the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. We touched on a few of the sprinters earlier that might back up and go each way. Saturno Rev's obviously in the market for this one as well. Comanche Brave's been the one that's been a bit of a springer. And there's a couple of other foreign horses, but Flora Bermuda was a good line. It was, I think, second or third last year. And Time for Sandals is in the market as well, who obviously won the Commonwealth Cup. Tom, this is going to be, if not a better race than the King's Stand on the Tuesday, maybe?
Yeah, quite possibly. Saturno Rev, obviously, like you say, went down narrowly to Lazat, who sadly isn't coming this year, just with a setback after his French win the other day. Exceptionally strong. If the ground comes up fast by the end of a hot week, he could be definitely one to side with again. Flora Bermuda, I don't know. She's a very, very good filly. She's just yet to really sort of strike properly hot, like a sort of a few of the others in here. It'd be interesting with those horses on the backup. Most horses can't do it. Blue Point was obviously a rarity, as with a couple of others over the years, but it's a super tough thing to do for good reason. And there'll be some of those that go big on Tuesday, and everyone will be thinking, it sets them up into the perfect run Saturday, but actually it's knocked them for six. So, Saturno Rev, if you were looking at horses, him coming over again with a hot week would probably on fast ground be one to keep your eye on.
Does Saturno Rev scorch the victory in the Jubilee, James?
It's got big chances now. Again, I'm going to go off the cliff with Flora Bermuda again. She finished third in the race last year, and she was third in the Champion Sprint Stakes as well. So she handles the track. She often comes with a late run, and she's the one who's finishing. So if she can sort of lay up a bit sooner and not give herself too much to do, I think she'll win another big race. Yeah,
we'll have big place spot guarantees at Ascot each week. Could you argue that maybe she might be the one for the place spot, that she's going to hit the place? And she might not win, but she could be a place spot horse.
Yeah, for sure, could well be. As could Lake Forest if he ended up going in there. He'd be in the similar category as she would be. Now he's gelded though. You've taken away a couple of the complications that might have been going on in his brain. Looks super straightforward when Kieran Roder met Haydock compared to what he used to be. So he might have the opportunity to sit a row or two closer, being that he'll be easier in the gates, easier first three strides. It could be the difference. Could be the difference for a horse like him if he were to go in there.
I think I've identified one at a price here as well. Quite a lot regional. I think he's running the Minster Stakes last time was pretty good behind El Monjed. And he ran in the King Standover 5 last year. That probably suits more, but he's not entered in that, which I couldn't believe. He's going to be a big price if he turns up, considering he's 8 years old now. But Ed Bethel knows how to get him ready for a big day, and I'd fancy him at a decent price. That's it for the group races. But Tom, we've got a few horses that have won for you this season. We wanted to get a line on. We'll start with LILT, who James mentioned earlier, who won a mile race at York. Looked a bit green in doing so, but she was pretty good.
Yeah, she did a really good job. Look, obviously she's absolutely regally bred, out of Group 1 winner. Interesting, sort of, she probably could have been one. Obviously at one point there was an entry in the Coronation for her. Also French Oaks. Sounds like we're going French Oaks direction, Prix de Diane. Just being the fact that the mile and a quarter will give her a bit better chance to sort of get herself up into gear. Look, what she did at York was it was impressive because she was learning so much on the job. So Regal went and set her a tough target to run down. And to be honest, even from a rider's perspective, at one point I thought it was sort of too much to ask of her to go and win. She managed to drop into gear and do so. Mile and a quarter is going to suit her well, and she's a gorgeous filly for obviously the super successful owner breeders James and Anita Wigan. They know how to find the good fillies.
Brilliant. And MORSHDI as well. He obviously won at Newmarket, and then things didn't go to plan at Chester. He didn't end up running. He was 5th in the Dante. What do you think's next for him?
Yeah, look, he's a really interesting horse. I think he's a faster model than what he might have initially showed us, just because he's so laid back. He was a little bit fresh and showed us something he hadn't showed us before at York. Like, he's always been super straightforward, tractable, and at York he just sort of gripped on a touch, over-raced a bit, and I don't think the sort of loosish ground at York really helped him that much. Hopefully he's a horse that, whether it be a sharp 10, maybe even back to a stiff mile at some point, I think we'll see him sort of go back towards that field and win type line of form, and hopefully we can go and sort of properly figure him out again now. We've had a sort of learning race at York, I'd say is probably what that was.
Brilliant. We'll give Tom a bit of a rest for a minute, James, because I know you've got a few handicap fancies you want to tell us about.
Yeah, well, I mentioned before with Holloway Boy, I thought in a Walkingham actually won a big prize was Hammer to Hammer. I thought he'd actually have a decent chance. He has some good form in these big sprint handicaps. He ended the season with a good 5th in the Air Gold Cup and a sprint trophy. And I thought he was a lively outsider. He should step forward from his run at York last time. And I thought in the Walkingham he could run well.
I've got a few more to quiz you on actually, Tom, because I don't think these have entries for Ascot, but Santorini Star has been a nice filly to follow. Where could she go next, and how good do you think she is?
Yeah, look, she's proven her credentials at Group 1 level now. Obviously she was second in the Royal Year last year, which is filly's only mile 6 Group 1, and then her run the other week in France was fantastic, only going down narrowly to Cabaya de Mar, who's obviously Group 1 sprinter, or Group 1 winning sprinter now twice. So that level of form is absolutely rock steady. Look, she's shown she's extremely tough. She's got a good amount of class as well to obviously mix it in Group 1 company, and she'll be contending all of them, most of those staying Group 1 contests from here on in, and I'd be very surprised if she doesn't have one on the scorecard soon.
Brilliant. Another one that caught my eye was Earthshot, who was second in the Height of Fashion at Goodwood last time. Yeah,
I'll be honest, went a bit wrong in that race. We went quite slow, got up outside the leader, and just where she lacked a sort of a bit of knowledge, I held on to her for a bit too long, expecting her to be able to just step into gear, and she just got herself a little bit lost for a few strides, where I hadn't asked her soon enough, and probably got beaten by one that probably shouldn't have really beaten her. If she'd have won that, she'd be going into the Ribblesdale, highly fancied and as an extremely exciting filly, which she still is for us. But the form line just doesn't quite suggest it because she got beat at Goodwood. But as I say, she shouldn't have. You kind of have to treat those horses like they were the winner because she should have won. And off the back of, if she was winner of that race, she'd be one that everybody's extremely excited about, and she's going to appreciate the mile and a half. That's going to be her bag, and think she'll have learned a lot from Goodwood again.
Brilliant. There's a few horses to follow, as well as some Ascot winners, hopefully. Tom, final question is the World Cup's this summer. Who's going to win the World Cup? First question, and how far are England going to get?
I hope England get a good way through the summer, just drag out the fun a bit. I don't know. You'd probably side with a team like Spain or something, would you? I don't know. I wouldn't be a big football man, but keep half an eye. I'll go Spain.
Will you be staying up late at night to watch the games?
Nah, I'm too tired for that. By the middle of summer, I'm cooked. I'm in bed as soon as I get home from racing.
Brilliant. We'll leave it there. We'll say thanks to Tom, and make sure to stay tuned to our YouTube channel because we'll get his thoughts on his rides every day at Royal Ascot. As I say, hopefully plenty of winners. James will have his column every day for the Dark Horse at Ascot. Hopefully a nice few winners there at big prices too. Head to tote.co.uk to see all of our offers and gamble responsibly.